Hey there, I'm Adrienne, your go-to guide on this empowering journey to self-love and authenticity. I've transformed my own struggles into strengths, and now I help others navigate their path to their inner knowing and create personal fulfillment. On this show, we're not shying away from tough conversations. We're diving headfirst into topics like self-worth, overcoming limiting beliefs, challenging societal norms, and creating a life that's not just successful, but truly fulfilling. We're all about blending heartfelt, soul-searching chats with practical, actionable strategies. Think of this podcast as your trusty compass on the path to your most authentic life, mixed with a cozy fireside chat with a dear friend. Ready to uncover your true self and lead a life that's in sync with your deepest desires? You're in the right place, friend. Welcome to the Live Your Truth, Love Your Life podcast. Hey there, I'm Adrienne, and I am so jazzed to welcome you back to Live Your Truth, Love Your Life. This is a space where we're all about digging deep, seeking the truth of who we are, and embracing it wholeheartedly. In today's conversation, we're going to tackle something that touches every single one of us: worthiness. Yes, that little word that carries so much weight. It can often feel as heavy as the world on our shoulders. We're going to talk about what it means, why it matters, and how it can utterly transform your life, for the better or worse, depending on your perspective. I wanted to start out with some words from entrepreneur Jesse Itzler. I consider him a mentor. I'm in his Build Your Life Resume group. And he encourages us to believe in the end of your story. He says that a lot. Believe in the end of your story. Sit with that for a moment. It's an incredibly powerful sentiment that instills in us the belief that our dreams are not only within reach, but are already in the making. To get the job, climb the mountain, or launch that business, you need to believe in the dream, absolutely. But more importantly, you need to believe in you and your ability to do it. Underpinning all of that is our self-worth, or our sense of innate value. The truth is, how you see yourself shapes your reality. I'm going to go ahead and say that one again. How you see yourself shapes your reality. Our perception of our own worthiness can either lift us up or drag us down. And it's often tangled up in dichotomies. Am I good or am I bad? Am I deserving or undeserving? If you see yourself as deserving or as enough, you allow for love, joy, and peace to flow freely into your life. But many of us, we get wrapped up and trapped in this mental loop of, I'm not good enough. I don't do enough. I don't deserve this. I've been there, trust me. During the creation of my website and this podcast, I was plagued by doubts. Who am I to have a podcast? No one will want to hear what I have to say. I'm not good enough. But you know what? The real question is, for whom? And by whose standards am I not good enough? When you're caught in an I'm not good enough spiral, dig deeper. I encourage you to ask yourself those questions. Ask yourself, for whom and according to whose standards? You might surprise yourself when you can't really answer those questions. For me, they helped me remember that I was wrestling with limiting beliefs. They're just thoughts, and just because you think something, it doesn't make it true. That's a tough one to remember when you're caught in that spiral, but it's super important to keep in mind. Just because you think something, it doesn't make it true. So as we get into this conversation about worthiness, I wanted to talk about 5 common struggles related to self-worth that many of us deal with. The first one, comparing yourself to others. Do you find yourself caught in a comparison trap, measuring your success against others? It's a common one. It's a common struggle, especially today in the world of social media. We're seeing the edited, airbrushed version of someone's success story. It looks like they woke up and nailed it, winning at life all day, every day. The truth is, so many people don't show the long struggle that's behind today's success. Some people do share their struggles, or at least part of them, but so many people don't. So with that in mind, remember that this life, it's your journey, and each person's path is unique. The second one is letting past failures define your self-worth. Have you allowed past failures to shape your perception of your worth? Shape how you see yourself? Failure is not a measure of your worth. It's a stepping stone towards success. My Nana said something to me about failure when I was a teenager that really stuck with me. She said, failure is an invitation to try again. It doesn't matter if you get it right the first time. It doesn't matter if you get it right the 100th time. If it means something to you, you have to keep trying. We put so much pressure on the idea of failing or succeeding that we let it cripple us when things don't work out the way we wanted it to. It freezes us, stops us in our tracks. Impossible to move forward. It changes the way you see yourself, the way you perceive yourself, the way you view what you're capable of, because you didn't get the outcome that you wanted that first time. Who cares? Keep trying. You'll get there. The third thing is basing your self-worth on external validation. This looks like relying on the praise of others to feel good about yourself. As good as it feels to be praised by someone else, especially someone you care about, you have to learn to cheer for yourself when no one else is, because someone isn't always going to be waiting in the wings to tell you how great you are or how good a job you did. It's important to cultivate an internal sense of self-worth that isn't dependent on anyone else. So if they're not standing there clapping for you, that's okay. You still know that you did a good job. You don't need them to tell you. And if you don't have them telling you, you still feel good about yourself. Period. Fourth thing, perfectionism. This is one of my favorite brands of personal suffering. I think it's a struggle that a lot of us have, especially when we've been high achievers our whole life, hustling for that approval through your achievements. But to be a high achiever, you hold yourself to this standard of perfection that is super unrealistic. Nobody's perfect. So this looks like if you're not perfect, you're not worthy. If you don't do things exactly right, you beat yourself up. You think you're less than. It impacts how you see yourself. Again, nobody is perfect. And it's our quirks and our flaws that make us human, unique, and beautiful. I'll go ahead and say that one again. It feels important. It's our quirks and our flaws that make us human, unique, and beautiful. When I was younger, I thought my quirks, and believe me, I had a lot of them, and my flaws made me weird as fuck. Just gonna be honest. I thought all those things that were unique about me really were weird as fuck. There's no other way to describe it. So I hid a lot of those things. I didn't show a lot of people the goofy side of me, the side that literally danced around when there's no music playing because there's music in my mind and that's all I need. Yeah, so I kind of pushed a lot of that down, didn't show it to a lot of people because the quirks, the weird things, the flaws, things I didn't get right, I was worried about how people would judge me or think I was weird, which I was and I am, and that's totally fine now. But it took me a while to realize that it's the weirdness that makes me unique and makes me me. But to bring it back to perfectionism specifically, think about it. Is anyone in your life perfect? Anyone that you've ever met, you've ever come into contact with, you've ever cared about, that you know, are they perfect? Of course not. But do you love them even though they're not perfect? I'm guessing you do. At least the people that are important to you, the people that are close to you, the people you care about, right? You love them even though they're not perfect. They don't have to be perfect. Give yourself that same grace. The fifth way worthiness issues might show up is a fear of disappointing others. This looks like worrying about letting other people down. And if you think you have let them down, it impacts how you see yourself. So you're always trying to please others. You're trying to meet their needs. But odds are, if you're trying to always meet their needs, you're probably neglecting your own. And over time, that's going to chip away at how you see yourself. It's going to create resentment and frustration. Keep in mind, it is impossible to please everyone all of the time. You're not going to do it. Stop trying. Another thing about worthiness is we often tie our self-worth to external factors like careers, relationships, our appearance, our achievements. But guess what? These are fluid, ever-changing aspects of our lives. What happens when one of those things falls short of our expectations? Or we don't perform in some role as well as we wanted to? Your presentation at work falls flat. Your significant other left you. You're in that midlife, awkward haircut phase of your life where like something extreme felt like a good idea at the time. Now every time you look in the mirror, you're wondering why you look like this. Those kind of things, right? So you have disappointment in these different areas of your life. Expectations don't meet the reality of the situation. And as a result, we end up feeling deflated, unfulfilled. We question our worthiness. It impacts how we see ourselves, how we show up. So I want to talk about how we can shift this narrative and begin recognizing our worthiness. It all starts with self-awareness and acceptance. We need to acknowledge and embrace our strengths and our weaknesses, our victories and our setbacks. We have to confront the story that we've been telling ourselves about our self-worth and rewrite it with compassion, understanding, and love. Remember, when we talk about self-worth, we're talking about our inherent value. It's not determined by external accomplishments or validation from others or any of the other things we've talked about. We are worthy simply because we exist. We are worthy simply because we exist. So let's shift the focus from how others see us to how we see ourselves. It's crucial to see ourselves as the beautiful, unique, and incredible individuals that we are, granting ourselves permission to dream big and stay resilient in the face of adversity. Everything isn't always going to go your way, and that's fine. Be flexible, accept it, release it, keep moving forward. You, my friend, you're not your past. You're not your mistakes. You're not your emotions. You're not your accomplishments. You are so much more than your thoughts and the stories you tell yourself. Instead, I invite you to see yourself as radiant. You are a radiant soul filled with potential and worthy of love and respect. You are filled with potential and worthy of love and respect. It's a tough one to sit with sometimes, but it is so true. And if you can practice reminding yourself of that instead of beating yourself up, you just might start to see yourself in a little bit of a different light. So to wrap up today's conversation, I'd like to leave you with a little exercise. If you know me, you know that I absolutely love to journal. It has been one of the tools that I have used in my life since second grade to help me document, reflect, wade through the muck, make sense of things, try to get to know myself a little bit better. It's a thing I go back to over and over again. And again, I have since I was young. So I'd like you to get out your journal for this exercise. And I want you to picture someone in your life who loves you deeply and write a letter to yourself from their perspective. Imagine how they see you, how they appreciate you and value you. Write about your strengths, your quirks, your passions, and the love and the light that you bring into their life. Write about how you show up for them, how you love and accept them the way that they are. This exercise is super important because it is super easy for us to extend grace to the people we care about. We don't hold them to these impossible standards. We view them is worthy and lovable because who they are. But yet it's so hard for us to do the same for ourselves. So this letter, you're going to be that person that you love in your life. You're going to take their perspective and you're going to write a letter about how wonderful you are. All the things about you that you do for them, the ways that you show up for them. And I invite you to keep it and look back on it. When you're having a tough day, when you're beating yourself up, when you're feeling bad about yourself, look at this letter. See yourself how the people that care about you see you. It just might help get you through the day. I want to thank you for joining me today on this journey of self-worth. It is a journey, it's a practice. Some days, we remember that we have value because we are, and other days we're trying to measure up to some impossible standard to show the world that we have value. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I look forward to next time. Have a fantastic week, and remember, you are worthy, you are lovable, and you are absolutely capable of making your dreams a reality. Live your truth, love your life. That's it for today's episode, my friends. Thanks so much for joining me on the Live Your Truth, Love Your Life podcast. To get even more out of today's conversation, don't forget to swing by the show notes and download your freebie. Want to keep the conversation going? I'd love to hear what spoke to you most today. Head on over to my Instagram at Live Your Truth, Love Your Life and drop me a comment. I'm always excited to connect and learn more about you. Remember, the journey towards living your truth and loving your life is a rewarding one. New episodes are dropping each Monday and Thursday, and I can't wait for next time. Until then, have a fantastic week.